Hi BookTube! My name is Sarah and welcome to the Bookish Knitter. Today I am coming to you with my weekly TBR. Say it with me everybody, it's TBR time! Yay! So this is for week number 32, August the 6th through August the 12th. And we are in Garb August, so my picks are Garb August worthy, I like to think. So yeah, I am super excited about all of these. Now, as I've mentioned before, it's not like on Sunday, whatever books I was reading, or didn't get to from the week before I scrap and I just start with new books. No, I'm carrying over books week to week. So this might be week 32, but as I said in my Harlequin video, I might read them this week. I might get to them next week. Generally, I can get to books within a couple weeks. I am actually listening to quite a bit of audio lately, guys. I have really fallen back in love with audio, and I'm very, very happy with it. I've been listening on my way to work and back, and I've also been listening at night because crafty-wise, I am actually trying to get back to adding squares to my sock yarn blanket, and it takes about 30 to 45 minutes to add a square to the blanket, so it's perfect time for me to pop in the audiobook and just enjoy knitting on that square. It's completely mindless because those squares are so easy to knit. And yeah, it's been really, really enjoyable. So I'm very happy with audio lately. And I guess I've just had a few good ones. So that makes it helpful as well. But anyway, I will share what I read on audio and what I read in print and what have you in my vlogs as we go about every week. So like I said, we're in Garb August. My picks, I feel, are Garb August worthy. So let's get into what they are. So the first read I have is a mood read. And this is going to be a reread, like a 3 or 4 time reread. I'm just in the mood. And I'm going to be listening to, I will be listening to this one on audio because I do have the audio copy from Audible. And this is Phantom Evil by Heather Graham. This is the first book in the Crew of Hunters series. So because I'm kind of doing my reboot of my reading, I'm like, let's go back and read book number 1. And I think my friend Storm and her friend, Storm over at Storm Reads, are kind of doing a read along on this series. I can't remember how far they are, but I wouldn't mind catching up and then joining them for the rest of the books if they let me. So yeah, so that is my first one. This one is such a good book. Again, the first in the Crew of Hunters series. It's about a creepy mansion in New Orleans and this group, the Crew of Hunters, who come to investigate these strange paranormal happenings. So yeah, very, very fun. Very paranormal heavy this week, you guys. The next book I have is my event read. So the prompts for the second week are Paperbacks from Hell, which was a book put together by Grady Hendrix, celebrating horror books published in the 80s and 90s, I think. A lot of booktubers, I know Michael K. Vaughan did a video on this. I'm going to link it down below because I watched his video and it was really good. But they're really, really creepy. They involve killer children and killer animals and all these really pulpy, great paperbacks from back in the 80s and 90s, horror paperbacks. The other prompts, it's either Paperbacks from Hell, so one of the books that was contained within that big book that Grady Hendrix did, or vintage schmut, essentially. And I'm like, well, people expect me to do vintage schmut. It's kind of my thing. But I was looking, you guys, I literally couldn't find anything that I really wanted to read. I had some books on my shelves, but I couldn't find them. And they weren't Harlequin, they were non-Harlequin. But okay, to be fair, the one was 600 pages and it was not available on audio. And I'm like, I can't read a 600. And with the print this teeny tiny. So I'm like, that's a book I'll get to eventually. But I'm just I want something a bit easier. And I kind of really wanted to dip my toes into the horror genre. So we were going back and forth on the Voxer group, and I was mentioning, because in Paperbacks from Hell, Shirley Jackson is mentioned. We Have Always Lived in the Castle and The Haunting at Hill House. And I thought, oh, I could read one of those. And then I love some of them. Like MJ, she's like, yeah, that's a horror, what did she refer to it as? Upper class horror kind of an idea. Fancy horror. And I thought, okay. So then I was maybe Jaws. And everybody's and then that caused a whole kerfuffle between everybody in the Voxer group. Some are the book is crap, the movie is great, but the movie is great. Some are so actually it was everybody against Steve Donahue. Steve's the book was great, the movie's great. And I'm like, okay, maybe not. So then we got talking and I'm like, listen, I am not good with spooky. I don't, okay, let me rephrase that. I like scary. I like ghost stories. The Crew of Hunters I love. Those are paranormal. I do like spooky ghost stories. What I do not like is blood, guts, and gore. that I have absolutely zero interest in. And I think that's a lot of what Paperbacks from Hell is. And I jokingly somebody made a comment about, oh, are you familiar with the Fear Street books by R.L. Stine? And I'm like, oh my God, I read the heck out of those when I was in high school. Them, Christopher Pike, I absolutely loved. So I thought, you know what? It's me kind of doing a horror light this week. So, sorry, long explanation to say that I'm going to be reading Bad Dreams by R.L. Stine. I picked this one at random. I do have a bind-up of the first 3 books in the Fear Street series, but I kind of want to save that for October, and I think I'm going to read like a book a week in October leading up to Halloween. So I decided just to pick this one. I remember reading this one in high school. I remember enjoying it. So yeah, this is my homage to the second week of Paperbacks from Hell, or Vintage Schmutt. And I'm reading a Fear Street book by R.L. Stine. So there it is. It is what it is. The next one is my spinning wheel, guys. So I've already filmed this. So let's jump over to the wheel. Okay, friends. So let's spin the wheel and see what we can find. I love that. Okay, so a book set in a hospital. I could go with a Harlequin medical, but let's branch out and let's see what else we can locate. And we're back. So it's really funny. When I pause, all I have to do is like pause for 2 seconds, do a break in this video, insert the clip, and then come back. But I literally sit here as if I'm waiting for you guys to watch the video. Like it's a commercial break. Like, have a little sip of my drink, then I'm like, oh wait, I can just jump back into the video. I don't have to wait for anything. So I got books set in a hospital. And I know a lot of you are like, you read category romance. There is the entire medical line you could pick a book from. But again, stepping out of my comfort zone. That's kind of what is the fun part of Garb August. So I kind of started doing some searching around. I'm like, books set in hospitals. Well, I came across so many books that were nonfiction, that were set in hospitals, like mental hospitals perhaps, or like Bellevue by David Oshinsky, which I actually have read before, and it was a really good book. If anyone is interested in the history of Bellevue Hospital in New York, it's fascinating, absolutely fascinating. But I'm like, that's not really what we're going for. So then I started thinking about maybe Robin Cook. If anybody remembers Robin Cook, I also read the heck out of his books in high school as well. He did medical thrillers, or he does medical thrillers. I think he's still publishing. And I was trying to decide which one to read, and surprisingly, the one that caught my eye the most was the book Pandemic, which came out I almost said 9/11, but that's because I just finished a book that kind of takes place during 9/11, pre-COVID. And then I'm like, might still be too soon. So I actually searched up like books, like I thought, let's see if we can do a little creepy. And then I started searching up books that are set in mental hospitals, because those are always like ghosty, creepy kind of things. And I found the book Silence for the Dead by Simone St. James. Now, I have read Simone St. James. I really like The Broken Girls. The Sundown Motel was fantastic. Cold Case was really good. That came out last year. This is one of her older books. This came out before she got really big, when she put out The Broken Girls. And they are re-releasing this one, but it originally actually came out in 2014. It is available on audio, and I looked, but the audio edition is not coming out until September the 5th. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to wait that long to read the audiobook. But then I looked on my library, and they've redone the audiobook. So they have a new narrator that's coming out in September. But the old narrator, the old edition that was published back in 2014, which I'm sure is still good, was Mary Jane Wells, is the narrator. And I've heard her narrate before, and I really like her narration. So I borrowed that from my library. So, because I don't have a copy of this book, I would have to borrow it from the library or something like that. So I thought, if I'm going to borrow it anyway, might as well borrow it on audio. So there's my book set in a hospital. So it's set in a mental hospital. It's a spooky, scary kind of story. Simone St. James, if you've read her, you know the kind of books that she does. I'm super excited about that one. And last but not least, guys, you might have noticed that I got rid of my Pick It For Me on Monday. I just had too many books. I'm like, I want to try and get through some of these. I love the idea of the Pick It For Me, but I'm doing the Harlequin project. That's kind of taking up a lot. And, that's kind of, I just found that the Pick It For Me books, the one that I read the last week was the first week, or one of the weeks that I did this, the Buried in a Good Book. That was such a good book. It was a 5-star read, but I'm just like, you know, so I had to make a decision, so it was those books. But don't worry, on Mondays you guys are still going to get videos from me. I didn't do one this Monday, but coming soon. Every Monday I'm going to be doing a little mini book haul of about 10 books, because I have a ridiculous pile over here beside me that I haven't even gotten into yet. And, you know, I will talk about that on Monday. So I thought I'd break it up by doing like 10 books at a time, because my book haul that went up the other day was 42 minutes long. Because I like to talk about the books. I thought like 10 or 15 books at a go is like a good amount. And again, they're all used books, but we're not talking about that now. We'll talk about that on Monday. So my last pick for the week, of course, is my throwback book, not including my Harlequin Project books that I shared with you guys in yesterday's video. Book number 2 in the Nancy Drew Files series, we are at Deadly Intent. Yes, by Carolyn Keene. So this one, Nancy Drew is looking for a kidnapped rock star, but she finds a lethal conspiracy. So yay on that one. Takes place in New York City. Speaking of 9/11, the Twin Towers. That's just, you know, yeah. Anyway, those are my picks for this week. Sorry guys, this video is a little bit longer than I would normally do because I've been a little chatty. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know, what are you guys reading in this coming week? Are you participating in Garb August? What are you reading for week 2 for the Paperbacks from Hell or the Vintage Schmut? Are you doing that at all? You know, are you trying to pick books for the wheel? Or actually, the wheel is the bingo card. Are you reading books for the bingo card? Let me know all the things. And until my next video, everybody, take care and happy reading. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye, guys.